Good morning, everyone. So it's a beautiful day here in Toronto. We have lovely weather. You can see this. Get the sunshine. So gorgeous. I love watching these rays that my camera captures. But I have to keep cool in this weather. I drink lots and lots and lots of water. And I try to get in my 20 minutes exercise every day. Sometimes I'll end up doing more, but I try to do at least 20 minutes just to keep active and to keep fit. Now the gyms opened after COVID, we can use the gym also. I don't really like using the gym, I like to go outside. But that's me, everybody's different. And I like to do things that are easy on my knees, because when I used to do aerobics in Zimbabwe, one of my knees came out of its socket and they had to push it back in. And so that was very painful. So I can't do any high impact sports anymore, like tennis. I used to play tennis when I was younger. I used to play badminton, hockey, netball. I used to do running in school, javelin, high jump, long jump, but all of those impact your knees, so I can't do any of that. So I stick to my walking and I stick to swimming. I use the treadmill sometimes, but even that I don't like doing. And we're very lucky at this building. When I moved in, we didn't have all the amenities, and one day they sent an email saying, we're opening a pool and a gym and all this. I was like, oh wow. So that was really nice. And I do make use of all the amenities. And I use everything that I have available. It saves me money, because if I had to join a gym, I would have to pay for that membership, pay for transportation to go to the gym, to come back. And then also, not all gyms have swimming pools. In Toronto, you'll find that mainly the hotels have the swimming pools. So I'm very fortunate and very blessed to live here. And I'm continuing to apply for work. In Canada, when you are unemployed for a certain amount of time, they will give you benefits towards your unemployment. But you have to be in the country to claim those benefits. You have to be available to work. And you have to fulfill your responsibilities. So every day I go online, I check for jobs, I've registered with agencies, and thankfully some of the agencies have called me back and they're keeping in touch with me. That makes a big difference, because not all the agencies will do that. So I'm fortunate that way and I'm grateful. Hopefully they will place me in a job. And I checked Teleperformance as well, but like they said, they don't have anything. And it's very hard, like when you're unemployed, because now I have my cousin who is visiting, and I've spoken to her. She's in England, but she's coming to America. But because of things like this, because I have to be in the country, I can't go and see her. If I was still working, I would have taken the time and gone and seen her. But that's the way it goes. And it's not just a case of saying, oh well, family can give you money and you're just being difficult, you just want everything to revolve around you. That's not the case. Because if they end up putting me in jail, nobody's going to come in that jail with me. It's only going to be me sitting in that jail. And it's very complicated here. If you look at even what happened to Boris Becker, I mean, you have lawyers to represent you and you trust in those lawyers, and Boris Becker ended up going to jail. I mean, he's a tennis player. So, I don't know. To me, it's very complicated here. And I think of all the executives I supported a lot of executives in Canada. The ones I enjoyed working with the most were the Americans. Michael Stein used to fly in and out from New York, and I used to like working with him. He was a nice executive. So maybe I'll end up supporting an American here in Canada, because the Canadian executive, for some reason, they don't seem to like me. They're always saying, oh, you've got an attitude, you like this, you like that. They like me in as far as they like my personality, but every time I do something, they expect me to think for them. And I don't think like them. I mean, I think it's very obvious that my worldview is not their worldview. And they're very protective of their Canadian women, the white women, because you'll find that here now, there's a lot of people, women of color coming up in the banks, Indians and coloreds and black women. But when I joined, we didn't have all this. They didn't have all the supports in place that they have now. And the Jesuits were the ones who supported the affirmative action for women. And I used to always tell Michael Kalachik, I want to do it on my own. I don't want them to give me a role because I'm a visible minority. And he used to always say to me, no, it's not right, because you came from a disadvantaged background. You came here and you've proven yourself, and you've got the same skills or better skills than the people that have lived here, and you've worked for it, you've earned it. And I said to him, well, I don't know. If the Jesuits can help in that way, then it's good. But, I want them to give me a job based on my thinking, my abilities, what I can do. And I went out there and I just did whatever I could. When I started the Wits chapter, we went to Goodman's and I invited Eli Gotts to talk to us. And he was telling us how lovely Rhodesia was, because he said even Canada didn't want to take people without some form of sponsorship when the World War II ended. And he was very, very emotional. He said, you should be proud of your country because they took us. He said, we had family in South Africa. The South African government didn't want to take us. They said, you have to put money down and then you can bring them. And their relatives who were there, his uncle, didn't have the money to do it. So Rhodesia took the Jews in and they allowed them to come and to set up their lives. And then he was also telling us about how there was a Nazi that they were looking for many, many years. And he was living next door to Mr. Goetz. And he said, they found him now, but he said, then the police came and asked me, why didn't you say anything? You knew he was there. He said, you didn't ask me. So I didn't say anything. But it's very moving to listen to him and what they went through, how when the Americans came, the Americans were the first to land on the shores and to go to the Nazi camps to free them. And they were skin and bone. So they gave them tons of bully beef, and his dad told him that you open that but don't eat it because it will be too much for your digestive system to absorb that food right away. So he told him, you take that and you boil the water and have a soup first, and then after that you can eat something, wait a while. So it's good to listen to him, to learn from them, and to just appreciate the freedoms we have, but also the responsibilities we have, and also to be aware of our lives and to be aware of our state in life. And I know that, for a long time, people would not accept me as a spiritual director here in Canada. I don't use it to hurt people. I don't use it to say, oh, I'm better than you, and oh, you don't keep the laws, you don't come to church, you don't do what I'm doing, because it's not my place to do that. If people don't have that love for God, all I can do is to pray for them and to judge my own life. And I judge my own life more harshly than anybody else could. So even when I'm invited to things, I know a lot of people in the parish, and I'm grateful that now, after all these years, people are finally starting to invite me from the parish to come out for ordinations, to come out for things, because before I very rarely got those invitations, and when I did, they were from friends of mine at Regis College, like Kevin Kelly. When they had events at Regis, they would invite me. I got to meet Father Martin when he came. I got to meet Cardinal Turkson. So it wasn't just me. A lot of people got to do and to meet the same people that I got to meet. But without that support that we needed to keep our Wits chapter going here in Toronto, it was very hard, and it was the Jewish community that supported us. And we got the events, we had rooms at Goodman's that we could use. And then when I tried to set up my spiritual direction, I used to contact people and tell them, I don't earn I'm not working, I'm trying to set up spiritual direction. And they would send me prices of rooms costing thousands. I mean, it's virtually impossible to get something going if you don't have an income and you're contacting places and you're trying to build something. So I've stayed like this. From 2007 to now, I've been living off my debt. And when I can work 2 or 3 jobs, I do it. With my health not being good, I can't do it anymore. But I used to do it. I used to work 2 or 3 jobs at a time, including the weekends, so that I could make ends meet. And it's something that the Jesuits know. They know it's discrimination, but all they can do is put my name forward and tell people like Father Larry, I'm looking for work. And all I can do is put the applications out. So, it's unfortunate, but we do have responsibilities when we come into this country. And the white men are very, very protective of their white women. You'll find very few non-whites working in HR, in relationship manager roles. And the other roles like payroll and compensation, they also have their own designations that you have to get. So that's why I do my best to keep my designation up to date, to keep my memberships up to date, because without that, it's become like a standard. You need those standards just to get your foot in the door. So it's very, very hard here. It's not as easy as people think it is. It's very difficult. But anyway, that's, if you come to Canada, or if you're in Canada, this is what you have to expect. A lot of the things that my colleagues are now doing, I did already. Like I was part of TRIEC, I helped on their committees, I mentored people through TRIEC, I facilitated at events, big government events downtown at the Air Canada Centre. So I've done a lot of things to try to help myself. And when people have asked me, will you do this? I've said yes. So that's all that I can do. And hopefully the doors will open for me and I'll get a break. Because it's not like I just sat back and said, oh, I'm just going to sit here and pray and God's going to just open the right doors and everything's going to fall into place. I didn't do that, and I didn't have the support of the Goan community here. There's a lot of people, even when I went to that ordination, there were a lot of people saying, that's her, that's Anita's sister. I just kept quiet because my sister doesn't have anything to do with me. I didn't answer them, I didn't say anything. I attended the service, I took my photos and I left. It's not like those people have invited me or said, oh, can we meet you, or can you give spiritual direction for us, or are you looking for a job? No, they're looking after their own families and they're looking after their own children. So what if I'm Anita's sister? Boom, so what? I did everything on my own here and it's been very, very hard. And it was the same thing in Kwekwe. My grandfather and my dad gave the Goan communities a lot of support. And even the people that are here now in Canada, Yvette and Yvonne Fernandez's dad, he tells me, when I used to go visit them, he used to tell me, he said it was your grandmother and your grandfather and your dad that gave the Goan community all the support. And because of them, all of us came up. So I said to him, I don't know what else to do. I've done everything. it's possible for one person to do. And I don't get the support of the Indian community, the Goan community. I don't get people opening doors for me. But anyway, I guess that's how it goes. For me, all I can say is that I was brought up with that faith, and my dad instilled that faith in me. And now Father's Day is coming. I did offer prayers for him, and I'm sure millions of other women and men are offering prayers for their own dads and for Elvis Presley. Because if you look at Elvis's life, what did he do wrong? Did he do anything wrong? He didn't do anything wrong, and yet look at how he landed up in debt because people took advantage of him. So anyway, that's the faith. You keep it in good times, you keep it in bad times, and we say, what the Lord giveth, the Lord can also take away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And that's how we live. We don't take our frustrations out on other people because our lives are not going the way we want them to go. We don't go and attack unprovoked. We don't support people who go and attack and take women and men and rape them when they are out at a party. That is not the right way. And if you want to talk about the Crusades and all that, the Crusades happened precisely because of a situation like what's happening in Israel now. Because the Muslims were slaughtering us. That's why the Crusades happened. Even the Our Lady of Victory and the battles that were won, they were praying the rosary. It happened because the Muslims were attacking us. The Hindus were slaughtering us. That's why those things happened. It's not like we just decided, oh, we're just going to go and start killing people. So anyway, that's the faith, and that's about responsibilities when you come to Canada. Maybe I'll end up working for an American executive, like how I worked with Michael Stein. Because they know me, they know I'm professional, they know I do my job, and I have fun. For me, even Ed Hamara, who I supported, knows. If you can't have fun and if you can't enjoy what you're doing, just don't do it. Why should work be a drudgery? It should be a joy. It's a joy, it's a sacred act that you do unto the Lord. Otherwise, don't do it. It's not supposed to be slavery and drudgery and fester. That's not what it's about.